Good morning, everybody. I'm Vern Halter, Mayor of the Mat-Su Borough, and we're going to address the COVID-19 situation in the Mat-Su Borough. But, you know, the state of Alaska has declared an emergency. The city of Anchorage declared an emergency yesterday. The Mat-Su Borough does not intend on declaring an emergency, but we view this as an emergency. And every step we're going to take is to work on that emergency. So Mr. Busi, our borough manager, is going to be up in a few minutes addressing some of the specific things the Mat-Su Borough intends to do. We've got Superintendent Monica Goyette, who is here today. She'll be addressing the schools and what the school district is intending to do over the next few weeks. And, you know, coronavirus is a serious situation. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's moving in. We had a positive test yesterday here in Alaska. Every state, except a few, have had positive checks or steps. You know, so what I want to say is for the normal human being, for the normal active citizen in the Mat-Su Borough, you could feel fairly safe. There's groups like 70 and above, which I'm in that group. There's elder people like we notice in Washington State that attacks that group of people. So we want to prevent that spreading. So just do the simple things. Wash your hands, like everybody's been telling you on Facebook and TV, and just social distancing. Now, this is one of the saddest things about this disease. Everything we value, handshakes, hugs, being together, going to sporting events, schools, one after another, the things we love is going to be impacted until we get this spread slowed down. And, you know, we have so many test kits here in the state of Alaska, I wish there was more. And I'd urge the governor to try to get as many more test kits as he can, as soon as he can. I think the Mat-Su Regional has 40 or 50 test kits, period, for a population of 105,000. Anchorage, population 350,000. So we need the tests, because the tests will identify who is sick, where they're at, and how to address it. And so I hope that we work on that as soon as we can, from a national level, from a state level, and certainly how it impacts the Mat-Su Borough. So I would just say, you know, go on with your normal lives, considering the spread of this disease is what we're trying to monitor. And that's what the goal of the Mat-Su Borough is. And I think I'm going to turn this over to John Busi, our borough manager, now to address some of the things that we're specifically going to do in the borough to prevent contact, to prevent spread, and to slow the growth of this disease. And so with that, but I do want to reemphasize your normal lives. You know, we cannot change some of the things. We can address it, but we have to go on with our normal lives. Don't panic. Stick to science and facts. Don't believe everything you see on Facebook. There probably is toilet paper around. And so let's do the simple things that we will make this a better life here in the Mat-Su Borough, and we'll get through this. The next few weeks, the next months are probably going to be tough. It's as simple as that. And then we need to get back to our normal lives as quick as we can, and it's a whole countrywide situation. It's actually a worldwide situation. You know, President Trump blocked travel from certain European countries to prevent the spread. You know, I value that decision. You know, but we do value our own individual rights here in America. You know, the right to travel, the right to freedom of expression, and things, free speech. And I hate to see our country succumb to fear. And I guess if my message is one thing today, let's not act fearful. Let's act responsible. Let's base it on science. Let's base it on medical decisions and go with that. So I'll turn it over to John Busi, to be followed by Superintendent Goyette.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. The borough staff, your borough staff, has been working very hard to prepare for this over the past month. We have tried to be as forthright with information out to the public via our website and our meetings, but this virus is causing us to take some necessary and fruitful action. I have a few things to announce, but following me, we'll have speakers of Scott Williamson from our Department of Emergency Services regarding the health issue. We'll have Superintendent Monica Goyette with any actions and any announcements from the school district. And then also, too, we'll be concluding with Assembly Member Dan Mayfield. So first, I would like to say that We have been working at the state. We really appreciate the leadership from Commissioner Crum and Dr. Zink. They have met with us numerous times, met with our cities, met with our communities, and been reaching out, preparing for this. So we feel thus far, outside of not having the proper kits, which do not come from the state of Alaska, they have been making good efforts with us. So effective Monday, March 16th, we will be closing public access to the Mat-Su Borough. This includes all borough buildings, including the Brett Ice Rink, borough libraries, the chalet at Government Peak, and Wasilla Pools. Also, too, the Mat-Su Borough, through our fire halls and different buildings, has rentals of public facilities. Those will all be canceled until April 1st. However, I want to assure the public that all essential services will continue to be provided, such as emergency services, fire, road maintenance. Our landfill will be open. Also, we'll be doing water and wastewater treatment in Talkeetna. We have a plan to have the borough staff continually working during this time. We want to provide government services. We just don't want to put you or our staff in harm's way. So the new traditional via email is a good way to contact. Phones is also be able to contact. I will be requesting that the mayor cancel all borough meetings through April 1st. And that includes assembly meetings, planning commission meetings, which we do have some scheduled. There is a caveat, however. We have state requirements on meeting time deadlines for plating issues. We'll be working on how best to hold that meeting that is going to be health effective for both our employees and the public. Also, the other exception is animal care right now is under a deep clean until Tuesday. Because of our responsibility to take care of the animals that are entrusted to us and seeking to ensure proper safety of our residents and staff, we'll be working on a plan on how to do this. We are going to have public interaction. We do not have our plan set at this point in time, but we certainly will do that coming forward. All these details will be immediately, once we have them on Facebook and posted on the borough website. So going back on the Monday meeting, the 16th is Planning Commission. That will be canceled if the mayor approves. And Thursday we have a Planning Board meeting, and then this Tuesday we have a 3 o'clock meeting regarding the police issue for the Mat-Su Borough, and then a regular assembly meeting at 6 p.m. He will make that determination at a later time, but hopefully soon. So next we have Mr. Scott Williamson, who's going to talk about the health issues that we have. He is our Department of Emergency Services, and then we have Dr. Monica Goyette following.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Williamson. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Borough EMS System. Just wanted to speak briefly this morning to the preparations that we've had in DES and EMS for the COVID-19. I want to assure the public that we have been working diligently over the past month in order to try to make as many preparations as how this will affect us as possible. We have been, through the good work of Dr. Zink and Commissioner Crum, we have been preparing this for quite some time. I want to assure everyone that we have updated our protocols in the way that we handle potential COVID-19 cases, as well as making sure that our responders are safe and adequately trained. We've made some daily operational changes to how we conduct business, including our MATCOM dispatch is currently attempting to screen callers for 911 of whether or not they may have symptoms consistent with COVID-19. And if so, we're taking additional precautions and limiting the number of responders that we have. One of the questions that has came up is how we are protecting our folks. I'd like to assure everyone that we have been training very hard on proper donning and doffing of our PPE, as well as ensuring that we have adequate stockpiles of PPE or gear for our responders. We've been working very diligently hand in hand with Mat-Su Regional and how we'll handle patient flow, including some changes in our ambulance routing plan to the hospital. However, the hospital specifically has been working very diligently with us to make sure that we have a flow plan that works very well for both parties. I want to mention really quick, as Manager Musi did, the importance of personal hygiene, social distancing, making sure that everyone is adequately washing their hands and using alcohol-based hand rub, as well as ensuring that you avoid large gatherings whenever possible. There are still a lot of unknowns regarding COVID-19. However, many of the things that we know are coming from reputable sources. I'd like to urge everyone to avoid sensationalism that we've heard. The Department of Health and Social Services, as well as the World Health Organization and the CDC routinely are putting out information to the public via their websites and disseminating information that can be relied upon. Oh, okay, go ahead. Okay, good. All right, thank you. One of the things that we've done at DES is increased our training in regards to how our personnel encounter patients that are suspected. We've had multiple iterations of increasing our donning and doffing of PPE, as well as making sure that all of our responders are familiar with how to appropriately handle any suspected cases. The hospital has also made many arrangements in effect to how the ambulance flow comes into the hospital, including making sure that our ambulance bay is now being utilized as a negative pressure environment. So with that in mind, I want to assure that from our standpoint, we're keeping our ambulances and our staff clean, safe, and well-trained. As of last night, just some rough figures. Right now, there is the one confirmed case here in Alaska. However, across the country, about 1,663 cases. A lot of those cases are in Washington State. 31 noted to be in Washington State. A lot of people have asked about symptoms. We do know that a lot of the symptoms of COVID-19 are similar to the flu. Patients that develop a fever of 100.4 or greater have a dry cough, malaise and fatigue. Some patients may develop mild respiratory or mild gastrointestinal upset. There is certainly variation between symptomology with patients. The elderly and the aged are certainly, this is hitting them harder, and we know that. Again, we stress highly that everyone avoid large crowds, continue to use good hygiene, avoid people that you know that are ill, and of course, consult your physician. Another thing that I want to make sure that is made clear is that emergency services is here to serve the public with the utmost excellence that we always have. Our preparations are in place to continue to provide service for anyone that calls 911 or needs assistance. Thank you.
I still have my teacher voice, Brenda. You don't need to worry. I'm Monica Goida. I am the superintendent of the Mat-Su Borough School District. And I want you to know that our mission is education, but our number one priority is always student safety. And so for next week, we are closing schools. We'll be extending spring break for students for 1 full week. During that week, we will be start bringing in our employees, starting with our front office and principals on Monday, doing needs assessment of our staff, finding out where people have traveled, finding out if they have concerns. And then later in the week, they will be contacting all of our families, finding out what their needs are, and including what their technology needs are, and preparing to do remote delivery potentially the following week. We're not prepared to make that decision at this point. We want to wait and see what is happening in our community, but we will be spending next week doing needs assessments and trying to start remote meal delivery again, like we did with the earthquake that impacted Houston and the Big Lake area. And so each day we will be doing updates. I will be doing one later on this afternoon, and then every day we will be updating our community, our website, and mass notification. And I really want to highlight what the message from the mayor and the manager is. We are certainly not in a crisis, but we are preparing to avoid a crisis. And what's changed so rapidly in the last couple days is that we've had our first diagnosed case. We are seeing many more countries become level 3 areas. And with spring break, many people from the Mat-Su, from Anchorage, traveled. And so we want that distance. We want to see and make sure that people are not symptomatic. And so we will be using social distancing as our primary defense mechanism against this spreading. And so please look this afternoon for more information, specifically for families on what will be happening. Effective this evening, all of our schools are closed for community use, facility use activities. No in-state, out-of-state travel through the remainder of March, and likely maybe continuing into April. Thank you.
I'll follow the manager's recommendation, and we'll cancel meetings till April 1st was your?
Or longer. Yeah.
Or longer, and have Madam Clerk reschedule as needed so that'd be the Assembly meeting and Planning Commission meetings. We have a police powers meeting that was scheduled for 3 p.m. next Tuesday. Unfortunately, we would move that to a new date, so we'll do that at this point in time. And I want to challenge the manager to all out-of-state travel for borough staff, if we consider that.
That was pretty quick to cancel, so yes, all out-of-state travel is canceled, effective at 2 p.m. today. Is anybody leaving before 2? So we have Assembly Member Dan Mayfield speaking, but after Mr. Mayfield speaks, we have staff here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I'm Dan Mayfield, Mat-Su Borough Assembly Member, and currently serving as the Deputy Mayor for the Mat-Su Borough. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we had some good messaging around the actions that we're taking today. Some folks may think that the actions by the federal government, the state government, and now the borough government are, maybe overreaching or may create an elevated level of concern. And the actions, I want to assure you that the actions that we're taking are well measured and well thought out. I've attended many of these meetings, and there's been a lot of discussion about how we can impact this parabolic curve that the COVID-19 is anticipated to take. And these steps are a way to interrupt that spread and to protect our people. So, there's no doubt that calm needs to prevail, and it needs to prevail today as well as always in regards to this the spread of this virus. Our concern for people, and I know that Alaskans are strong and a strong and resilient people, and that resiliency is going to net us a positive return, I believe. So really, my message is panic should be avoided, and I don't want people to interpret the steps of the Mat-Su Borough as being something that would elevate their concern. Thank you very much.
I will take questions this time, but for our borough employees who are not centrally located here, you'll be hearing from us very quickly. We want to get this information out to the public as soon as possible. So you'll be hearing from us today. The Mat-Su Borough is going to be fully working, fully functioning, but we're trying to create that social distance for safety of our employees and the people we serve. So I think my favorite newspaper man is here. I think he has like 9 questions. We'll let you do the first one.
I know the state is talking about setting up temporary housing for those affected. Is that something the borough is doing in conjunction with the state, trying to set aside places for people to self-quarantine, or is that something you guys are leaving in the hands of the state government?
We are leaving that in the state of hands of the government. The Mat-Su Borough does not have health powers. However, we do serve through our Department of Emergency Services potential. And so we internally, for our staff, we are working on a plan to accomplish that for those who work for the Mat-Su Borough in that capacity. Any other questions?
So at this time, is there any staff working remotely, and what kinds of conversations are you guys having in regards to when I have to make a decision like that if we have to?
So the big question, yes, we have been discussing that for the past couple of weeks. We do have limited opportunities to work remotely. Because of the expansion of our facilities, we have a nice area for not to be congregated like sardines like we used to be back in the old days. So many can work from home. But I think our big question for us that we're working through is with the schools closed for at least the next week. With many daycares following that closure, we may have some parents that don't have a choice, but we need their services. So that's the first area we will be looking for and provide access for them to work remotely. That will be done by each department's director. But we have important services that we are continuing and need to do to serve the public. We're just trying to spread this out as long as possible, not to overwhelm our healthcare agencies, and hopefully some smart people could come up with a virus like they do a flu shot.
I've got a couple more. I know you're a baseball fan, and some of the national sports leagues are planning or kind of hoping for a couple-month period of this. If it does extend longer into the summer, and you guys are forced to get your budget done in August, is there a way you can do that remotely, or would you still have to come and meet together in this room?
I believe there is remote access that we could do so. However, our budget is not going to be late. We will find a way of being it done. We have, because of what's been going on to state the past couple years, we have a multi-year plan on how to deal with this. And so is the schools. The schools has been working now, the timing of when we have to do the presentation, when the actual approval is, may be a little delayed, but I don't see that being a problem for either of us. And how did that have anything to do with baseball?
I just missed spring training. Last question is if there are going to be any tourism restrictions. I know that that's an industry that holds the state up and brings a lot of our economic boost. Would that come from the state, or would that be something that the borough brings down is restricting travel from folks outside the state in the borough?
That will be a state issue.
You know, tourism is a big thing here in the Mat-Su Valley, and it's something that we, are going to take quite seriously. Obviously the cruise ships, that'll be some decisions. I think that industry will make those decisions themselves, not governments. And I think that's the way it should be. I had a group of a German group that was going to be at my place yesterday. I canceled that just out of pure caution. And so I think tourism has the potential to be highly impacted. As far as the borough state budget, crude oil, I think, leveled out about $35 a barrel yesterday. And so there's a huge drop, $20, $30 a gallon in the last 5-6 weeks based on this emergency. That will impact the state's budget. The state's budget will impact us as far as funding schools, revenue sharing for the municipalities, all aspects of it. May put pressure on the state legislature and the governor to once again look at our school bonds and who's going to pay them, rightfully pay for them. And so that's something that will play out over the next months. Now, whether or not the legislature will be in session longer, your guess is as good as mine. But I'm guessing they probably will now. But we won't. We're going to do our job and do our business here at the borough on time.
Does Channel 2 have a follow-up question? We're good. We're good. So we have audience here. Anybody from the audience have a question? Yes, sir.
With the school being closed next week, will that extend the school year by a week?
So I have a call with the Commissioner of Education in about 20 minutes. And we're working on going through the waiver process. We access this with the earthquake and the Willow wildfires. When there's a state of emergency, you can apply for a waiver to not have to make those days up. So we're going to try and get that pre-approved. And really one of the the rationale is we anticipate this might extend longer than next week, and we would like to get stand-up remote delivery, whether that's high-tech or low-tech. We still have to figure that out based on our community needs, but our goal is not to have to extend the school year.
Yes, Mr. Haberman.
Eugene Call Haber, self-appointed gun watchdog. Yesterday, the Anchorage, the Assembly took certain actions, including a few ordinances that are going for a special meeting for next Friday, dealing with this scenario. Meanwhile, they're still holding public meetings, and you're closing public meetings. Now, how are you going to connect with a conversation with the people in yourself before you make a decision when you're taking such an action? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, sir. Yes, Ms. Nowers.
I know the Mat-Su Borough has a page for COVID, for updates. I'm just wondering for school district and for borough, where's the best place to direct people to? Or if you can't say the URL now, if that would be in the release. Where's the best place?
So it's our traditional website, matsuK12.us/coronavirus. And we will be mass notifying that link again to all of our families this afternoon, and also have that on Facebook. And everything that we're updating, just like we did with the earthquake, that's where we will always be updating information so people aren't working with static documents. It's so important when all of our information is changing so rapidly. I also want to acknowledge our school board president, Tom Berge, is here with us, and we've been in constant contact. And one of the things this morning that he and I and another board member were discussing via email is our responsibility to our larger community as a whole. And we have a lot of people coming into small spaces every day. The ability for us to transmit that very rapidly out into the broader community is a responsibility for us to be really proactive on that.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. Please also see the Mat-Su Borough webpage, matsugov.us, and also too, you can find us and be our friend on Facebook. Thank you.